All right, folks, here we are on Trading Up. We've just done a fantastic interview with Dr. Martin, who you can see here in front of you, trader from Johannesburg in South Africa. Welcome to the Trading Up YouTube channel, Dr. Martin.
Thank you so much for having me, my brother.
Well, guys, if you do want to check out the podcast we just recorded, which is epic, you're going to find out how he grew his initial account some massive amount, like multiple R, and then how he blew it all in like a day or one trade, and how he had a success at the end of it. There's a link below the video. Go and check that out. But now you're going to find out what he does today, here and now. He's going to break down a trade on the US30. Then he's going to have a look at predicting a move on the US30, which I'll be able to go in and tell you what happens afterwards when this video goes live. So, Dr. Martin, let's hand it over to your chart. Hey folks, my sponsors City Traders Imperium have just launched some amazing changes to their funded trader program you got to check out. You can now skip the whole evaluation, trade gold as well as Forex, plus they've increased the drawdown you're allowed in both the evaluation and when funded. With CTI, it's even faster and easier to reach up to $4 million in funding with a 50 to 70% profit share. Click the link in the description to find out what else has changed.
So I'm just going to be explaining this specific trade setup, how this move to the downside played out and what I think can obviously happen. So compared to other traders, a lot of people would have used the trend line to basically identify this move. But for me, I use my structural levels to see exactly where the market is obviously going. And I do have my key levels on the screen for one. And secondly, I do have, my structural lows and highs is kind of like a guideline of where the market can potentially go into next. So we can see even over here that we kept on breaking past the lows. I mean, if we look at that significant area over there at the top, that's 35,005, we failed to break past that level. And structural wise, we have been creating significant lower highs, and we can see how now this high was obviously rather than the previous high, which was the first indication of where the market was obviously going to play into. And you can see how we broke past the previous lows. If we look at this previous low area that had been holding for a couple of days, we can see how we then came and broke out of that low with that massive candlestick to that downside, came back into this significant level, created a high over there that we did fail to break. And obviously from that point, you can see how we have been spiking through that level. And on lower time frames, you also have this structural low over there that got printed out on the yellow level, which is why then the market came and retested that level over here to basically come and then break past this area. So you can see how the market keeps on breaking past the previous lows and obviously creating new lower highs. And that is sort of like giving us where the market is going, because this is a downward trend that's obviously forming right now. So even over here, we did have that structural low that got printed out. So this is a move that I actually caught last week. So I'm going to explain this move and how this would have been like an easy move to catch to the downside. So if you look at this particular move setup that we have over here on US30, we are able to see that the markets did come to this area to print out structural lows, which then obviously became structural highs over here. So over there, what I was obviously looking to see after the break out of this low was obviously to see market retesting there and obviously going to the downside, which did happen over here, failed to break past that level. A new low was then printed out over there, went back into the highs, faked above that level, came back in that level, went straight to that significant area, which is also something that I would look for as well for entry setups. But this is not a trade setup that I took because this wasn't my ideal kind of like entry area. So I would have obviously liked to see the market coming back to retest here, sort of like a simple scenario like this. I'm just going to draw like that. So I would have loved to see that, that pullback breakout of that level, and obviously a retest exactly over there, which would then give me an entry to the downside, which, we can sort of like see playing out around this area. So this was kind of like a move that I did take because this was an ideal kind of move setup for me. So I would have obviously came in over here. So there's a couple of things that I would have looked at over there, looked at how candlesticks are obviously rejecting based off of that previous low setup. So we can see how then the market is now slowing down over here. And you can see even how then liquidity was pulled out of the market on that area when the wick obviously closed below that region. So this would have been a beautiful entry for me over there to basically now trade either to this previous level or even to my Fibonacci extension levels. And also, this was a move that obviously I would have known that it has to sort of like go towards the downside based on the Fib setup that I would have had over there. So if you look at my Fibonacci over there, I would have known that we still have to sort of like go to our negative 27, negative 61 level, which obviously did play out beautifully. But this would have been an area in a zone that I would have observed. Also, we do have a significant level over there. So I would have probably taken my profits around that support level.
Hey folks, just jumping in here now. This show is sponsored by Mudrix. Mudrix offers you 3 smart ways to make money from crypto. The first is CoinSets. Baskets of coins you can invest in based around themes and picked by experts. The second is algos. Choose from hundreds of robots that can trade crypto for you on autopilot. And the third is to create your own algos and tap into over 50,000 Mudrix investors. Click my special referral link in the description below or the card above and get $25 credit when you join Mudrix today.
That's how the previous trade played out. And from there, we can see market obviously going all the way down to, those extension levels, even piercing through those extension levels. And right here, we can see that we sort of like do have, some kind of a reversal on the downside on this particular market. So I am also still kind of bearing in mind that we do have that previous zone that we did have even from the previous market. So don't forget that we do have that previous support level, which is where we currently are right now. And hypothetically speaking, we never really got to retest that area. So there's 2 possible scenarios that we could have in this market, but I'm going to give you my bias on this particular trade, obviously. So this could be a simple push, a poor situation, and obviously break out. And obviously we're coming back to retest that area for a possible push to the downside. So that's quite a possibility in this market. So that's the first thing that I'm putting into my head as I'm looking at this particular trade setup. But again, the second thing that I am looking at is that we did break out of that significant level, which is that 34,500 zone, which is also like kind of my major zone as well. That's like one of my major key levels in US30. So we are currently trading above 34.5, and there's a possibility that we could still go to the upside. So let's look at the structure and what it's actually printed out for us to know exactly where the next move can possibly play out to. So for now, I can basically see that we did sort of like create that low area and that high price over there. And we did create that low price, which is obviously higher than the previous low price. So the market is already now setting out for a bullish run. And obviously over here, we did see that break of structure that did happen over there. So for me, I do see the market going up based on this formation. So I do think that even if this zone does typically give us some kind of a reaction, we may possibly come back to test again that previously broken high over there to maybe see that long-term buy that may possibly come on US30. Because remember that also with indices, the markets are always bullish based on what is happening in the actual markets. This is quite a bullish market, so we can't expect it to drop as if we're trading, currency pairs. This is obviously a stock market that can obviously recover with time. So based on the crash that we did have, I do see this recovery being a possibility. So if we do kind of like reject from that point, I do see us obviously coming back to test that previous high price over there, and obviously then see the market obviously going to the upside. But again, the market can obviously start buying from where it is. So then we can go down to a smaller time frame to sort of like understand exactly what it is that we do have. And if we do look at how then the market is setting out pretty much in that 34.5 area, we can sort of see that there's some kind of some kind of rejection that's happening on the downside on the lows of this particular price action that's being printed right now, looking at how then the market is waking around that level. So I would obviously predict that the market can come and break above this area. So a trade setup that I would take is obviously if the market does come and close above that yellow level and come back and retest that level, then I can obviously take that buy towards the upside to the next available zone that we do have in this particular market. So that's pretty much how I'd look at the markets, and these are the kind of trade setups that I would take. My most favorite trade setup is obviously when the market is, showing us a very, realistic approach and very practical move based on everything that's happening. And you can see that this is quite a practical move because the market keeps on creating like a beautiful structural formation that's able to give us exactly where the market is going.
All right, guys, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I'm going to show you what actually played out here on the US30. So it saves you going back and having a look at a price chart and checking it. So this is what played out. So Dr. Martin gave us 3 predictions. Here's how they played out. All right, so this is where we were at. We're here. His first prediction was that we would break down, retest this zone here, or around about this zone, and then push up, and he would be looking for an entry around here. Didn't quite get there, so it came back. It did come back for a retest, but it was of this zone here, and then push. Whether or not Dr. Martin would have seen that as a possible alteration to what he was currently thinking, I'm not too sure, and got that move up. It would have been a great trade. So at least he got the direction right. He got the direction right. Wouldn't have been filled down here, but did get the direction right, which is fantastic to see. So that was the first prediction. The second prediction was that we would, look, this is stuff was way out there. We would retest this high here. Okay, so after we obviously broke that level. So that level broke. Did we get a retest to the high? I'm just going to zoom across here for a second. Yes, we did. It sort of, it came in here nicely. We had a few pips drawdown, and then away it went, and there was money to be made in that move. So number 2 was correct as well. So he got the push up, he got the retest here, that was correct. The third thing he said was if it closed above this level here, so I'm guessing a close above one of these candles here, which we did have at this point here, he would be looking to go long. So I think that this probably was a close a bit too far away from the level. I think he was expecting the close to be somewhere like above here, and then he would look to go long. So let's, and he actually was on a 30-minute chart, so I'm going to jump down to a 30-minute chart, or we can check that out. So let's put that back to the top so we can see where that lands, and go to a 30, and zoom in a bit, find this point. Okay, there it goes. So unfortunately, he didn't get a better close above. We're at basically the same point here. I've checked the 15, so I'm not going to go there. I actually haven't checked the 5, so I'm going to go down to the 5 and see if we can find this point, and if he did get an entry on the 5. So this really shot. The good news is he got the direction 100% on. 5-minute chart. Did you get a fill close above that's closer, that gives you a decent, I mean, still there was money to be made in the move. No, you didn't. Oh, did you? That point there is a close on. It's a close on. So, actually, let's have a look. It is slightly above. So he may have been able to get in at that point there, or made a decision that, hey, look, we've got a trend line break here, so let's get in on that trade. I don't know. So it was very hard to get that move, but look, man, it was a good move. So that's how it all broke down. Let's finish up the rest of the video. Hey guys, ever wonder what broker I use? Well, I use these guys, Hanko Trade. Look, it was a no-brainer for me because I was looking for a broker with really good trading conditions and one without any leverage restrictions. Look, also, by joining Hanko Trade, I was able to cut my cost of trading significantly with their super low commission of $1 per 100K. Look, if you want to find out more, check out hankotrade.com, or there is a link in the description. Thank you very much for sharing with us today, Dr. Martin. Before we wrap up, what's the best way for the guys to get hold of you?
Obviously, that's on YouTube, Instagram. Just search Dr. Martin, Dr. Martin. That's exactly where you'll find me.
Well, look, guys, we did actually record a podcast before this, and the links to all of those things are under this video, where there'll be a link to the full podcast and other quotes and stuff from what we talked about in the interview. Guys, do remember, if you do want to automate any of the stuff that you've just seen today, I do have my Robot Builders Club. We're still taking on members there as well, so if you're looking to automate fully or semi, then check that out. Remember to also hit subscribe, hit like, click on that notifications bell, and click all, and we'll see you in the next video.